at the Politricks. Watch. This is Sir P. Now, today I'm going to be showing you some video clips from Prime Minister Umbre. Some things I'm said in the recent press conference. And we're going to also talk about the whole, traveling to Uncle Sam place, linking with, some Congress people, right, FBI and all that, to deal with the foreign done them. Things are looking really interesting. The typical story them, shootings over here and murders over here, so don't worry, we'll get back to that. But them things they're secondary right now to this, because I spent a lot of time and energy talking about the fact that Ironman needs to start seriously updating our laws, our constitution, our policies, etc. So now that we're finally starting to see some progress, I have to see this thing through. So them type of story are gonna get precedence. Before we go into the video them from Umbre, the British PIA, British Patriot Squad, start sending me a link to Sky News and British News Monday. People ask me, hold on, this way too spooky. Because Sir Keir, I said he might go abolish the House of Lords, right, if he's elected in his first term. For those of you who don't know, that's the leader of the British Labour Party. Him say if him get elected, he might get rid of the House of Lords. Right, and on Monday people are saying this, and of course, I did a video talking about the Jamaican version of the House of Lords, which them rebrand as the quote-unquote Senate. But it's the exact same concept. Matter of fact, it's worse. Because the current British House of Lords, enough of their powers have been stripped. Right, the Irish House of Lords, aka the Senate, right, they actually have the power to veto laws passed by elected officials. So I am not a fan of the Senate, and I said it needs to go the way of the dinosaurs, or at least scale back some of the powers them have. Right? Well, Sir Keir, I'm going to say he might go abolish the House of Lords, so the whole British PIA start linking me, and I say, well on. Two owner, right, start off with Sir, one a K, one a P, right? And the two owner want to get rid of House of Lords. Look kind of spooky. I had a good laugh when time see the message them. So we got the British PIA, the British Patriot Squad. But this is something where anybody who truly, right, understand how politics work and how it should work, right, would see as a common sense move. A straightforward move. These matters need to be addressed and dealt with by elected officials. Now, we can move into the video. One of the first things them put up in the press conference, right, was showing the weeks before the SOE drop and the week after. But telling already say, the drop in murders cannot be attributed to the World Cup because the drop started before the World Cup started. I shouldn't even have to explain that. But let's just say it was the World Cup keeping murders low. You know what would happen? They would remain low after the SOEs are lifted. As you can see on your screen, the very week after the SOE was lifted, murders went right back, right, to the same as the week before. So a unicorn me people are trying to sell them because they assume you're not going to go check the data for yourself. So see it up on your screen in case they were right. Now if you go back and listen to my old video, then you can see, right, I'm telling you say the SOEs, right, is not a medium to long-term solution to crime fighting. It's not. However, when it comes to actually reducing murders, you see say it works. Now before we play the clip from the Prime Minister, let me tell you what I am happy for. I am happy that we're finally having serious conversations about reducing murders in Ironman. I can remember clearly the dominant narrative was the same old nonsense. Ironman murder rate is high, and if the youth must get more money, right, the war will end because of money are the problem. It was one of the most annoying things to hear. If it was, you should just have more money in their pocket and they wouldn't have to do this. They make it sound like, there is like this, this never-ending war over, scant resources because there's so few slices of bread that's used and murder themselves in record numbers to get those few slices of bread. If you just get little, money, and it's not money. If lack of money, lack of jobs made people murder in record numbers, Iron Man would not be at the top. Trinidad and Bahamas, Iron Man, and El Salvador wouldn't be topping the global murder charts. Iron Man's murder rate is high because of our culture. They tell us the culture can be broken down under many different things. Right? You have the culture of how we make, right, and raise children, the culture of, who is perceived as, a big man, who gets the ratings, who gets the girls. Right? You have the culture of, right, don't take no talk if a boy this same for dead. You have the culture of, if somebody dead, then somebody have a dead back. You have the culture of, if you can't catch Quacker, you catch him short. None of these things are economic concepts. And economics cannot fix it, which is why Iron Man's unemployment rate, no matter how low it go, murders are high. I think it's currently around 6%. We can show in the countries where people have no job, no education, literally no food in their belly, right? And these places are even safer than many European countries, according to even Uncle Sam himself. Now, every country that has a high murder rate have one thing in common. They have a retaliation culture. However, different reasons fuel them more. So in Mexico, you have cartels fighting over, right, lucrative drug trade, right, and drug routes. When it comes down to Iron Man, most of our gang feuds can be traced back to a single incident, right? There was a dispute and somebody dead. That dispute then triggered retaliation. The retaliation don't just affect the 87 who was a part of the initial act, but it affects their relatives. And now, one murder turns 10. So, you have a country where one man dead, and like that, or 7 man dead, and like that. In Iron Man, 7 murders turn to 70, then 70 turn to 700. This is how gang feuds operate. Man a kill back man on each side. You see, according to the gang constitution, somebody have a dead back. Just like how Jamaica have a constitution, gangs have their own constitution. And for them constitution say, somebody have a dead back, at least one somebody. It can be all 5 then. Therefore, if you want to stop the retaliations, you must stop the initial killings. Where the 87 are going to carry out. Where the done from foreign are going to order. Where the done from jail are going to order. That is what you want to stop. And then the retaliations will cut down. But as long as those killings carry on, retaliations will follow and murders will skyrocket. The vast majority of Jamaican murders, right, are gang conflicts, retaliation, killings. You can't catch Quaco, you catch him shot, killings. If it was just domestic killings and robberies gone wrong, Jamaica would have murders well under 1,000. As a matter of fact, I'd go as far as to say it wouldn't even reach 500. So by neutralizing the main players then, from the 87 to the shooting to the 116, right, where I met the guns and go past customs, murders will drop. Here is the first clip. Check this out.
But there are several states in this region which are under threat. And they have reacted in far more stringent ways than this government has. We only need to look to El Salvador. And this morning, we have seen that Honduras has taken similar measures. There are those of us who live in a dream world, or maybe they're trying to trick the population who may not be aware of the situation. But I live in the world of reality. And the reality is that there is organized criminal violence that is at a level that threatens the state. It threatens the security and safety of every Jamaican. You just need to ask the people in the communities that face it daily. The people who complain about the SOEs are not the people who benefit from them in the communities where they have to hide under their beds, hide their daughters, can't go to church, and they see their sons and their boyfriends and husbands killed. That's a reality.
Now, when it does here, Prime Minister Umbre mentioned El Salvador. I think that's really interesting. And the reduction in murders they're seeing and how they're getting it. The main weapon they use is an SOE. When time you see in the news, El Salvador lock up 10,000 youths, you cannot do that normally. Right? They're using their SOEs. Honduras is now following by using film SOEs. And to be honest, what Umbra say or I do pales in comparison to what go on in El Salvador. El Salvador is at least 10 times more extreme in terms of what the government do. The difference is the main people who are complaining about what go on in El Salvador are foreign activists. The various human rights groups who say, you can't do that and you can't do that. The president of El Salvador has a record high approval rating. As high as 75%, 80%. These numbers are unheard of. Politicians don't get them kind of approval rating because the people are fed up. So they're just glad the murders are declining. But the scholars and the activists, they don't care about results. Right? Because remember, that's how scribes and Pharisees work. Scribes and Pharisees say, I don't care if you bring back the dead. I don't care if you feed 10 million with one slice of bread. Right? I'm telling you that the text say this, and the paragraph 2, article 5 said this. That's how scribes and Pharisees work. Right? If the people in El Salvador have a problem with what the president do, they would turn against him. They would vote him out. But instead they support him. But foreign activists want you to believe that them know what's better for El Salvador than the people in El Salvador. This is a country that went from 6,000 murders in a year to on its way to going under 1,000, with twice the population of Ireland. Here is the second clip.
It's a reality. Is it something that we want to do forever and ever and ever? Absolutely not. But I think in the modern world, our constitution needs to be upgraded so that those powers can be easily and effectively used when the circumstances require them. Emergency powers have always been an executive tool because it is the executive that has to respond and react. We need to, I think, upgrade and recraft how the emergency powers are used in our constitution to deal with the modern threats that exist.
Now, this is really interesting. He mentioned the Constitution. He mentioned that the Constitution needs to be more modern. Let me use this analogy. Because you know I love draw for them. Imagine when cassette la run thing. Remember cassette? Put in cassette and play cassette. Imagine would they have laws that govern cassette. And you need to spin the cassette this amount of time, and then you need to wipe off the top of the cassette so. Right. That is the Constitution. Now we are use iTunes and Spotify. Right. And we are try go through Spotify and we have issues with Spotify. And people are say, yeah, but remember say you're supposed to wind up the cassette, and if you don't wind up the cassette and wipe off the top, we have Spotify and iTunes issues. How are we going to fix them? Using cassette policies and cassette laws and cassette constitution. Is either we're going to update our policies and our legislation to reflect the fact that we're now using iTunes and Spotify and deal with it. The Constitution came from a system that is so outdated, even the people who invent this system have turned their backs on it. The very British will come up with it, say, that doesn't make any sense. They quickly identified that, hold on, we cannot have unelected officials blocking policies being passed by elected officials. Them strip the powers of the House of Lords, and now we see, right, even Sir K is saying that if him get elected, he might get rid of them completely. We're living in a different time. If there is any law that is controversial and the government or the elected MPs them can't even make up their mind what they want to do a referendum and make the people them settle it. But what we're not going to have is unelected officials right, using an outdated dinosaur system, right, to govern modern day Ironman. It's nonsense. The Constitution needs updating. The Constitution needs to reflect the Ironman we have today. Here is the final clip.
I leave the island today to head to Washington for, among other things, to start the process of getting a more intense cooperation in treating with the foreign actors in our local crime. Those dons, those who have migrated overseas, that in this season they will be sending the bag of rice and all the other goodies in the barrel. But secreted in that bag of rice, wrapped up in that blanket, will be a gun or ammunition or parts thereof. Not for your benefit, but to give to a youngster to kill. They can't feel that they are free to influence, direct, solicit, and finance crime in Jamaica. So I head to Washington to have meetings with the Justice Department, the FBI, and other entities there, because I'm serious. If you are overseas and you are sponsoring, directing, soliciting, or financing crime in Jamaica, we're going to get you. That's part of building the capacity to treat with the crime that we exist without having to resort to emergency powers.
So, the foreign don, we don't know about them already. The foreign don and the jail don, very problematic. But we see Prime Minister Umbre in our uncle's place meeting with congressmen, and we meet with FBI. We just want to see it manifest in our real life. The Bail Act we say it's very close. The Updated Correction Act. When all three of them things they get put in place. And then bring in the enhanced, all them things they, when them finally get put together, right, that is when Ironman will start to see, right, real crime fighting. What the action we'll look for. So if it's any consolation, at least politicians are finally talking at them have sense. Taking the main players them off the street, preventing the one them already off the street from carrying out hits. The one them were in other countries, right, are direct murders, didn't get caught up with. Once that started to happen, it would also act as a deterrent to other people. Because the foreign don has never seen, right, any effort to capture them ever. So them can continue to do what they do. The jail don has never seen any serious thing happen to them, no matter how much shit them put out from behind bars. Right. 87, no thing get catch with a gun, right, plead guilty, right, year or two, touch back the road. Sometimes they don't even go to jail. Sometimes it's a fine. Legislation, right, will help change Ironman. People who tell you otherwise, make sure say, when time them see the numbers them start go down, right, make sure you remember what they used to say, so you can remind them, because they're going to try to run in, and they're going to try to change them more. And the same people them want to laugh now, has been laughing from day one, they're going to stop laughing. I can see it play out now. Still want to see action though. Umbre saw the right things, but politicians will say anything. Action. Patreon Squad, big up on yourself. PIA, don't know, more life. Culture Squad, stay circling. Bless.